Right, hello wine drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday and our Super California tasting. A warm up to our cult tasting, and cult tasting always sells out. Like this year, it's already sold out. We haven't even sent an email out on it. Super California sold out. I mean, Super Rhone tasting, we still have seats for that next week. But I'll tell you, California Cabernet is popular for a reason because it's great. And I mean, these wines last a long time. And this was a fun tasting because we took wines from the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. So you got to take a look back and see how they used to make wine. The 70s, they made very different wines than they do today. They made wines that are 12% alcohol. You rarely see that, well, except for some of these people that are trying to make wines like they used to, for some reason, forgetting about what we've learned about phenolic ripeness. And I have to say, we did like the 70s better than the 80s, but we could have got some duds in the 80s flight. And we started out with a little Maryvale Sauvignon Blanc, this 2013. What a great little price we have on this wine for a limited time only, $14.75. We had Simon Frory, the winemaker from Maryvale in, and this was on my top pick list for the holiday season, but I don't know if it's going to be around. The distributor close it out, but at $14.75 we've got it for a limited time here. That was a great that was a real crowd pleaser to start out. Anyways, the 70s, we started out with Ridge Montebello, and we did it twice. We had the 71 and 73, and both of those wines surprisingly good for wines that were that old. As a matter of fact, the 71 got 7 votes. It was the wine of the night, really smooth and silky. This wine had a lovely cigar box spice to it and still had fruit. Amazing at 12.5% alcohol. The 73 was a little bit dried out to me. That wine, although it was still good, the 71 definitely bested it. The 77 Maya Camus, this wine famous for lasting a long time, and 77 was a drought year. This wine had a lovely concentration. It got 4 votes for first place. Still had some sweetness to it. It still had tannins. Our friend Bob Malner, who provided the wine, said this wine still needs time. I would say drink it up. The 79 Camus Special Select. This was back when Randy Dunn was making the wine here. This wine got 3 votes for first. This wine had some lovely sweet fruit to it. Although light, red currant berry fruit, still had some tannin, but this one the most balanced of all the wines in the first flight, I thought, and a very good example of old Camus Special Select. These wines very different from the new wines they're making at Camus. All right, the 80s, we had Opus 82. Not very good, not very impressive. More impressive than the 85, which you would think a better vintage, and I thought it was anyways. I mean, 4 people voted for the 85. The wine of this flight was the 84 Ridge Montebello. That's right, Ridge won 2 flights, and 84, not considered a great vintage in Napa. Very good, but this is the Santa Cruz Mountains we're talking about here. And this wine had a lovely nuance to it, this kind of minty herbal note to it, and had some nice fruit and just silky smooth tannins, drinking beautifully at 6 votes. That was definitely the favorite. The Spotswood 86, to me, not a good example of... well, maybe it is. I've had some old Spotswood. I've never been real impressed with them. This wine appeared a little oxidized on the nose, although it did get 3 votes for favorite in that flight by 3 different people. But it was definitely better with the Duck Confit. And, well, by itself, a little bit oxidized. The 90s are here, and 100-point scores galore. That's right. We got a 99-pointer and a 100-pointer in this flight, but the 92-pointer, can't drink points. You're going to pay for them. And the Arajo, the lowest scoring wine, an overwhelming favorite in this flight with 9 votes for first. The Dominus was outstanding, definitely the most different of all the wines. It really showed its Bordeaux breeding. And the Schaefer Hillside Select, only 1 vote. What? All these wines were great, though. The Phelps Insignia, I think the Phelps gets kudos because they make a lot of wine at Phelps. They make over 10,000 cases, and these other wines all much smaller in comparison. But I'll tell you, the Arajo was brilliant, and this wine always shows really well at our cult tasting. So some great stuff, and that's what we had to drink at our Super California tasting. Keep your eye out for the cult tasting because you probably won't see an email about the event. You'll just get a what I drank yesterday on it. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.